Hello and welcome. My name is Wendy Fracchia, and I'm with Morris Murdock Escorted Tours. And today I am excited to be joined by Reid Robison in this fun meeting webinar. And we're going to talk about one of your most favorite places in the world. Reid, why don't you, if you would, let's get a little bit of a background on you. What is it that you love about France? And taking groups there and sharing that as part of your experiences leading tours.
Okay. Well, when I was a young man, I loved anything about France. I took uh, French classes in school. I was the interpreter for the French Jamboree. The last night of the Jamboree, the scoutmaster invited me in his tent and said, "Why don't you come to my home?" And I said, "I will in 2 years." I was 17. I will as 2 years as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so I did.
And just like that, you knew
Just
that's where
like
you
that.
were going.
I knew it. It was in my heart. I knew it. I told that story to my mission president. He put me on the next train out to the city where that man lived. And I knocked on his door.
That's awesome. You've been taking groups then, since your mission, but you've had a great career and you've been blessed to be able to take groups and share France and other parts of the world with them.
Yes, I have been back to France every other year, some years 2 or 3 times a year for the past 35 years. And I was a missionary there 55 years ago. So I love introducing people to this country that I love so much, to the people I love so much. And I also love the bond that we make with these people. They become lifelong friends and we stay in touch. It's a great experience.
So many of my tour directors say that is one of their favorite parts about getting to share these experience with people on groups and our travelers say the same thing. It's you go just thinking that you're going to have a great experience, worry-free. You don't have to worry about any of the travel details, but experts are going to show you everything you need to see. But then at the end of the tour, you leave with a family and friends and people that you want to travel with again. So that's just like one little feather in our hat for group travel. But, what is it I know that you love about France and um or maybe what the world loves about France? You probably know this fact, but there are like over 90 million visitors every year to France. It is either the top or in the top 3 of the most traveled countries in the world every year. And throughout Europe, it is like it either begins, ends, or travels through France. So, you know, I guess you could almost say if Europe had a capital, France would almost be the capital country. So, what is it about France? What is it that everybody wants to see?
Well, they want to see the Eiffel Tower. That's an icon. And that
Paris,
represents
right? Yeah, they gotta see Paris.
and that symbolizes, even though it was a monument put up during the World Fair at the time, the French people hated it. And then they came to love it because it's so recognized worldwide. But the French people know that they're great and they think they're the greatest country on earth. And I have to agree with them. I just love going back because I feel like I'm going home. And
Well, you certainly look like you're at home. I was going to say I certainly can appreciate is that a Hermes tie that you're wearing?
it is, in fact,
And
yes, it is.
I was going to say and I see like a very fashionable pin, I think, there in your pocket. I bet you have cufflinks on.
I have cufflinks on.
So where's the beret? Oh, okay. Is that a beret?
Yes, let me tell you about berets.
Okay.
Uh, Old men in France wear them. The Olympic team wears them, but it's not fashionable for France anymore. But tourists love them and always want to buy a beret and then bring it home.
Absolutely. So do you wear this normally?
No, I wear it in the winter and I wear it on tours.
Well, you do look very stylish, as you should while you're in France. So let's jump into why we're here today. So like we talked about, there's many benefits to traveling with groups, and you are doing two very specific tours to France this year. One only France, one is including France. And so we really wanted to talk about the uh the tours and what you can share with us about France. So I'm going to share my screen really quick. Um I'm going to have you do you see that okay?
Yes.
All right, perfect. I'm going to let you kind of walk me through. You tell me when you need me to advance. I'm just super excited. I loved our title, The Benefit of Group Travel to France. Why I love to take groups to France and beyond. I think that is a great entry. So let's kind of jump into this, and you just tell me when you want me to advance.
Okay. Well, without reading the words on the PowerPoint slide to you, I just like to say that France is a country of romance. When people think of France, they think of romance, they think of beauty. That is, according to the New York Times, French will be the number 2 language spoken in the world after 2060. That you can find that in the New York Times. It's because the birth rate in Africa with the Congo is increasing so quickly, and in other parts of the world it's decreasing. But at the rate it's going, we're going to hear a lot of French speakers around. They're well known for their French cuisine. Uh, the famous French chefs are trained in the island of Saint Martin, which was in our mission in the West Indies. That's the Caribbean, and come to France and introduce people to wonderful food. I love the art. The church in the early days of the church, the late 1890s, sent artists over on artist missions to Paris and learned about painting there. So it's a
Wow.
there are so many reasons why a person would fall in love with France, but those are some of the reasons that I'm in love with France.
You know what? I think I read a fact somewhere once that said that the French spend more than 2 hours every day just on meals. And you think about the American culture and how quickly, fast food this and grab and go that. And could you imagine over 2 hours every day in meals? I think that that goes to prove that they've got something special.
And at
At
night,
least in the cuisine.
and they come home at night, and e- eating at night is a social experience. They sit around the table and they'll talk till midnight. They'll use a different plate for every course, but they'll come away from the table totally enriched from the conversation and enjoyment they've had with each other.
Talk about quality family time, right?
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome.
Now, these two quotes here are quotes that I think kind of summarize my feelings about it. As I told you, it made a big impression on me when I was there. And Ernest Hemingway, who said, if you're lucky enough to have lived in Paris as a young man, then wherever you go for the rest of your life, it stays with you, for Paris is a movable feast. And to me, it has been.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
Now, we have two trips that we're talking about today. The first one is in April, at the end of April, and it's discovering my favorite things about France. And that would be the Paris area and the Loire Valley, where the castles are located. The other one is called the Three Temple Trip, and it starts out in London, then takes the channel over to Paris, and then the group flies on to Rome. We have a temple experience, but we also have an experience learning the culture and the food and the arts of those countries.
Well, that's awesome. Let me ask you a question, Reed. Um, Obviously, we've discussed your involvement with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and that second trip obviously is a very faith-based travel experiencing visiting 3 international temples. The first tour in April, Paris and the countrysides. If you are not a member of the faith, what could you expect during that tour?
But the same as everyone else except for the first day there when we go to Versailles and see that fabulous castle. And then we go over to the temple, which is attached to a visitor center, much like the Los Angeles temple. And visitors with us can spend their time while we're in the temple for an hour and 20 minutes. They can spend their time in the visitor center and discover incredible things about their ancestors. It's one of the finest family history centers there is in the world.
That brings up a really great fact that these would be really a great tour, especially that April one, for anybody who is looking to connect to French ancestry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, that is very cool.
So
So,
let's hop into my favorite things first,
okay. Oh, your favorite things?
and that's France.
That's France. That's France.
This is a brief overview of the tour. We'll get into more depth in this presentation or in the rest of this presentation and the rest, but this gives you an overview about flying to Paris on the 22nd and flying home on the 30th. And in the meantime, we'll be having fabulous, iconic visits to the most well-known places. I would mention that on that first night when we arrive, we get to go to the Sainte-Chapelle and listen to a concert uh,
Ooh.
in Sainte-Chapelle where these wonderful violinists play from Vivaldi. It's just a sight to behold and to listen to. We also get to go into Notre Dame, which is recently renovated, and it's just down the street from Sainte-Chapelle. So these are wonderful icons that we're going to explore. Plus, there is free time on that last day to go out and see something that you might have always wanted to see, but you didn't see it listed in the tour.
Well, I was going to say for some of the ladies, that's probably shopping time because we're going to have to get, our Harry's tie or maybe the cufflinks or the beret.
Well, we'll be going to the Gallery Lafayette, which is one of the most well-known shopping fashionable centers in the world. It's worth it just to walk in and see the interior and the stained glass dome and the roof in the center of it, to go up and see a view of Paris from the top. And they'll have a wonderful experience doing that.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Should I jump into these other slides?
Sure. The first after we go see Versailles and the temple, we'll be going on what's called uh, Bateau Mouche, which is a little ship that goes around the Ile de la Cité, which is the Seine River surrounding the island that has Notre Dame on it. You can see Notre Dame right in the direct background there, and you see every major landmark in Paris from the deck of that ship. And so it's a fun way to have an overview, an introduction to Paris, if you will.
Oh, I bet you probably get some great pictures too.
Absolutely. Okay, this is the Versailles Chateau. It's much, much bigger than this picture represents. But I want you to make note of two things. First of all, there are an incredible amount of people, almost wall to wall, uh, back to back people in there where you might feel crowded. But our tour is called the King's Apartment Tour, where they take small groups and you actually get to go in through secret doors and see things that the general public doesn't see. So it's a great way to be introduced to Versailles. Now, the other thing I wanted you to note is just look at the architectural lines on the building there. And then on this next slide, you'll see those same architectural lines represented in the Paris Temple, which is about just a couple of miles away.
Wow. That is that is amazing. The one thing I was gonna point out actually on this picture, are the audios that, we get to use on, throughout the tour, and what a big difference that makes to, especially when you're in areas that have a lot of people.
And you'll see every one of those people wearing one of those audio guides, and then there's an earplug in your ears. Now,
Well,
before you continue on, is it possible for you to slip back to the view of you and I?
yeah, let me do the stop share.
Okay,
Okay.
what I wanted to show you all is this is a it's a stained glass from the Paris Temple. Now, I didn't take this. I got it as a souvenir from Tom Holdman's store in Thanksgiving Point. But the interesting thing about it is this stained glass shows the water lilies there. And what Tom Holdman did is he went out to Giverny, which is a mile outside of Paris, into Monet's garden and laid down in the grass. And as he laid down in the grass and just pondered for well over an hour, it came into his mind how he wanted the stained glass in the Paris Temple to look. And this is the representation that I have in my window in my office here at home.
Oh, that's beautiful. Just gotta love Tom's work. That is so great. So great. All
So back
right.
to the slides.
So there, are we back?
Yes. And if you go to the next
Okay.
slide, you've got the,
Let's see. Let me get back. Okay, there we go.
yeah. Okay, we can continue. Okay, now this inside of this right now, on the when we take one day out to see the castles in the Loire Valley, that's kind of the center of French history. And these castles there are magnificent. And when Chenonceau was built as the main castle of the king, all the rich barons wanted to have castles next to his. And so that's why the land is dotted with these beautiful castles all throughout the Loire Valley. On our way back, we're going to stop at one of the most fascinating uh, cathedrals in the world, and that's called Chartres. And it tells the history of the Bible in stained glass. So you could literally sit in the center of that cathedral and look up at the stained glass and look at panel by panel to see the different stories from the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Now that's
Wonderful stuff.
magical. That is beautiful.
So the key takeaways on this, it's a tour from the 22nd to the 30th. The breakfasts there are incredible and memorable, and the tour guides know what they're talking about. Where you are required by law to use in Italy and in England and in France licensed tour guides. They'll be with us on the inside of some of these key structures, but I will be guiding on the outside and getting people around Paris. So that's our takeaways for that trip.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, and that's I'll let you keep going here.
Okay, now we slip into why see the rest of Europe. Now, a funny story about this is after we had visited Europe 8 or 9 times, my wife said, "Are there any countries in Europe besides France?" I told her I didn't think so. But anyway, we've since discovered together some beautiful sites in London and in Rome and in Germany and these other wonderful countries. But this particular tour is the Three Temple Tour. It's been a favorite of travelers. Uh, just this last November, we took a wonderful group and introduced them these places. The thing I love about this tour and the French tour I just explained is that it goes at a more relaxed pace to where you can enjoy the culture and the people and go back to the hotel, have a pleasant evening, and not feel totally exhausted when you wake up the next morning, but rather feel refreshed. So that we take that pattern for not only the France tour, but this Europe temple tour.
You know what? I was going to say one of the things I think that's so great that people should appreciate about group travel, because Europe can be a little intimidating with so many countries and so many languages. Even though, English is widely spoken, and you're saying French is like the second worldwide language. But when you're with a group, the language barriers really disappear because not only you, are there as their interpreter, and our guides, but we definitely are at places that people do know English and you can be very comfortable on where you're going. Another benefit of the group travel is all the logistics are handled. So you're not having to deal with the traffic. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of the different traffic or cities and the massive traffic situations that those cause, and trying to understand train travel or bus travel in different cities. And especially when you don't know the language, that is another reason that makes group travel such a huge benefit.
Yeah, it's a safe, secure way to go, and you don't have to worry about getting lost, or you don't have to worry about where next. And it's just structured for you in such a way that you can enjoy the people and the culture.
Well, and you even mentioned you just can enjoy more without feeling rushed or stressed. So, here is this wonderful outline.
Yeah, this is similar to the other outline, only this tells the tour for the three countries. So we'll start out in London, and after being in London and visiting the key sites there and the temple, then we'll slip over to Paris and see the highlights of Paris, and then continue on to Rome and finish out there. The fun thing about going from London to Paris is we do take the Channel. That gets us from downtown London to downtown Paris in a little over 2 hours, and then you have an evening in Paris. So it's a great way to go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know you've got a cool picture on that one, but I guess since the tour starts in London, let's start in London.
Okay, so the first stop that we go to is actually Buckingham Palace. And
And why not start at a palace?
well, and if the flag is flying, you'll notice that the king is home and he's in the building right when we're talking. The changing of the guard there is right behind the center of that group, and it's a fun stop. We do pass Big Ben and get to see Hyde's Park, where early missionaries would go out and preach their word to the people. It's a wonderful freedom of speech place for people of all religions and political views, where they can get up on a soapbox and just talk. And that's what our missionaries did. And there's some great stories about that. We do see the Houses of Parliament, the Tower of London, the Eye of London, which looks like a big Ferris wheel. We'll see the London Tower where the jewels are kept. And that's kind of a good first day before.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that's one day.
That's jet lag day, yes. Then the next day we'll start out at Westminster Abbey, where the kings have been crowned for centuries. We'll see St. Paul's Cathedral, and we'll finish off at the British Museum, which houses, by the way, the original artifacts for the Old Testament still. The British people have a wing in the museum right next door to the British Museum. It's called the um, uh, Prince Albert Museum, and that is a wing where they've made a replica of every famous monument in the world. And they made it so that no matter what your income is, you don't need to travel to Egypt to see a famous statue or a pyramid. The replica's right there in England, and you can learn about it. Now, every museum in England is free of charge for entry, and so that's a great feature as well.
Wow, for sure.
Then we the next day go to the London Temple. This is our travel day where we'll actually end up in Paris that night. But this is the famed London Temple, which is just out. It's an hour and a half bus ride outside of London.
That is cool. And you do have enough time to do a session, correct?
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, again, if you can, you see on that picture on the left, if you could stop sharing the screen for a minute, I want to tell you one other little thing about this one.
All right. Oh, that's
Um,
familiar.
that's what you just saw in that picture.
Yeah.
Now, this is a quick little story about Boyd K. Packer, President Packer. When he was a young seminary teacher, his new boss got up and started criticizing all the faults of the leaders. And then he said, now we'll hear from Brother Packer. So he gets up, and here he is, this new boy on the block, wondering, what in the world do you say after that? Because I disagree with everything he said. And so he got up and he said, I want you to know that in the Louvre in Paris stands a statue that is without exception the most valuable piece of art in the world. And he said, you'll notice it doesn't have a head. It doesn't have arms. It's got a chip knocked off here and one there. But still, you can see beneath all that imperfection the majesty and the beauty of the creator who made this sculpture. And he said, to me, that is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he said,
Oh, wow.
after he told that story, and he didn't know he was going to tell it when he got up and said that, it just came to him. He said, I bought a replica of that and put it on the credenza behind my desk, and it's been there ever since. And so that's why I love telling that story when we get to that.
That is. Oh, I bet you have so many great stories.
I love to tell those stories. But
Those
even before
are
you
great.
leave, have to have my trinkets,
Of course.
even have to have my favorite food, croissant.
Is that a tie pin?
No, it's just a little replica of a croissant. But when I
That's
get bored, I can remind myself of the skyline of Paris.
oh, that's a good one
There it
too.
is. And we'll see all those sights.
I was gonna say, I think you obviously know how to point out the fun and valuable souvenirs that will make people happy.
Well, in fact, in the museum, if you buy that Wing Victory statue, it probably costs 4 times the amount that you can buy it across the street on the Rue de Rivoli, and I'll show people where that is.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's, I was going to say, the fact that you get to go to the Louvre is a highlight for many people.
Well, it's still the most visited museum in the world and the largest. And they actually close one wing down every single day of the week. It's that big.
Well, and they just had that famous robbery there.
They did, and they still haven't figured that one out.
It's kind of crazy. It was like a national treasure in real life. That was insane.
We were there 2 weeks after it happened, and they actually pointed out to us the door
Really?
right through. So anyway,
That's incredible. Wow. Look at these pictures.
now these pictures, the one on the left is in the Latin Quarter, and the other pictures are from the Musée d'Orsay, which is pictured to the right. The one on the bottom left, by the way, is in the Orangerie. It's totally dedicated to the work of Monet, and the other paintings there are impressionistic paintings. The one on the right has special interest to those studying Come Follow Me this year. That's a representation in the Musée d'Orsay of Cain, and you can see how depressed and uh, struggling and suffering those people are as they're driven into the wilderness.
Wow, that is incredible. I got to tell you, Reed, that picture on the top left of that street is that I think you said that was that the Latin Quarter that I see here, and I bet you have time to walk through these streets and
You do. In fact,
explain and tell stories.
what I would recommend people do in going to France is look up some books. Like there's this one book called The Alchemist.
Oh, I just read that.
Well, my wife and I traced the steps of Nicolas Flamel through the streets of Paris. And it was one of the most fun times we had wandering through the streets and actually seeing the addresses that were listed in that book. And so you can have fun. Next time you go to Paris, you ought to try that one out.
I was gonna say, I've just added it to my list. Oh, that's fantastic. Wow.
Okay, you can't go by Paris without singing the song Aux Champs-Élysées. And it doesn't really, it sounds so much better in French, but it ends with any night, a rainy day, you'll find what you're looking for on the Champs-Élysées. In French, it would be Il y a tout ce que vous voulez aux Champs-Élysées. Doesn't that sound more romantic?
Oh, absolutely,
It's
and
definitely
it's
the
one of
place
those
to go.
songs that we've all probably heard, and we had no clue what it was
Well,
saying.
we always break out into song when we get to the Champs-Élysées.
Well, one of the things that I think I love about Paris that some of your pictures is so many movies, are set there or have, they visit there, whether it's action or romance or historic. And it's just, it's like every scene is a reminder of something. And it's just like it's living history. It's just amazing.
Yeah, my wife and I had a favorite hotel right across the street from the Tuileries Gardens. And it was the most fun experience we'd have every year to go back to our room looking over the Tuileries Gardens with the Eiffel Tower in the background. Well, then the Born Identity came out, that film. And what they did to the price is tripled it, so we couldn't go back. But
Uh,
anyway, it was fun.
but sweet memories.
Absolutely. So this is the channel. This is how you get over to uh, Paris from London. We've just skipped back out of Paris for a second just to remind you how you got there, I guess. But that's you don't even feel claustrophobic. You go, you're up above ground, traveling at, just a quick speed, almost like the speed of light, not quite, but it's quite fast. You go under the channel, and before you know it, you're pulling up into the French countryside.
How long does it take to get through the channel?
2 hours.
Pardon?
About an hour and a half, probably.
All right, very
15 minutes
cool.
before and 15 after.
Oh, and there's the most iconic thing about Paris. You kind of mentioned that,
Yeah.
how the French feel about it, but I think we were kind of joking before. I said, you can't, it's on every piece of fabric, it's on every home decor shelf, it's on jewelry, it's on clothing. I mean, the Eiffel Tower is everywhere. It is like probably one of the most iconic, the Eiffel Tower and the pyramids of Giza. I mean,
Right.
there's
Absolutely. And at night, starting when it gets dark, on the hour for 5 minutes, the Eiffel Tower sparkles
oh,
and it goes up that way until midnight. And so it's when you're on that Bateau Mouche at night, you'll be seeing it a couple of times sparkling. When you're walking
well,
at night, you'll make a point of stopping and making sure you're seeing that sight. So anyway, the picture on the left there is just at Saint-Merry, where the services for
oh, whoops, sorry, sorry, sorry.
Sunday church are in English. And then there's the Notre Dame Cathedral. The interesting thing about Notre Dame, when I was a young man and went in there, it was very, very dark inside. With the renovation, it's all white. It's just
Mm,
breathtaking, the change on it.
wow.
Saint-Chapelle, where we've had the concert, is the one in the middle there. And we do go up to Sacre-Cœur. It's called Montmartre, and it overlooks Paris. That's on the right. And right behind that is the artist market that we walk through, and we see artists as they paint their next work of art.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. Well, let's jump over to Italy. How do we get to Rome?
We fly. It's the only time we leave early in the morning, and the rest of the time is more civilized, but we'll take an early morning flight to Rome, and we'll spend the day in the Vatican.
So,
This is
you know what, Reed? I'm just going to jump in here really quick because when we started working with you on these tours, there was a different mode of transportation that you had done a similar tour. And it wasn't everybody's favorite thing to do. It was kind of a waste of time and it wasn't the best experience. And you said, I have an idea that I think we can improve this tour by taking a quick flight over to Rome. And that's when we added this little jump. And I think that you said that it was one of the best inclusions or the best modifications to the tour that was made to just make it an amazing experience.
well, and the reason why I like it so much is rather than get on a cruise that takes about 4 days, 4 or 5 days, um, I like the fact that you're spending more time enjoying the culture and the sights and getting to know the city. And
You're not
actually,
so rushed through them
yeah,
and
you're not
missing
rushed through.
everything.
And so I think it was a great improvement.
Oh, good. I know your group did as well. So, let's see. Oh, here we go. So you say we get into Rome and then we go straight to the Vatican.
Yeah, on the left is a picture that you're not supposed to take, and I did not take that. I got it off of Google, but it's the Sistine Chapel, and they don't let you take pictures inside that. And then you've got the Vatican where the Pope addresses the people. The Vatican is a country on its own, and that's a view of it there. So it's a great place to go. When we were there in November, it was actually the year of the Jubilee. Every
Hmm.
25 years, they have these pilgrimages where groups of people march behind a priest carrying a cross with a representation of the Savior on it, and they march into the Vatican there, where into that square where the Pope actually addresses them. And that's what we were there on that exact day in November, on the 12th of November, when that was happening.
Wow. So cool. I think that the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel obviously is one of those iconic things that people want to see. I personally am a huge fan of St. Peter's, though, going into the Basilica and seeing those
Well, particularly the
masterful
Piazza
works of art.
where you the statue where you have the Savior in the lap of his mother
Uh,
after he's been crucified. That's one of the most beautiful statues ever.
Michelangelo, it is perfection. It is simply amazing. So, first time I saw it, I literally wept. So, I think that's probably why I like St. Peter so much. I have so many fond memories there. So, this is a great stop that everybody really enjoys.
And speaking of St. Peter, when you're at the visitor center and seeing the statues of the apostles, he's actually standing there holding the keys in that statue at the Rome Temple. It's a fabulous place to go.
Absolutely.
The other thing pictured there is the Borghese Gallery, which has this sculpture work of Bernini. He does the most lifelike representations of figures that I have ever seen. You actually are tempted to go up and touch them because they look so real.
It is truly a worthwhile museum to go to. You kind of think you'll get tired of the statuary, and then you see something else that just makes you gasp.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And then the other key sites that we won't miss in Rome, of course, the Colosseum, the Spanish Steps, the Trevi Fountain. My wife is standing there in the center of the Pantheon, which is just an incredible experience. And so it's these are sites not to be missed, and they'll make an impression on you forever.
So again, when we're talking about the improvements that we've been able to make to the previous tour, getting to include all of these features is the biggest improvement. Like you said, slowing down and getting to enjoy these capital cities that you're going to lets you have a full experience.
Right.
Mm.
Okay, and again, the takeaways that we have the same takeaways listed that we had on the Paris and Castle trip. Uh, Great memory with the channel, guides getting us into those key sites, memorable food, and just a terrific experience from November 1st to the 13th.
You know what? Honestly, if you are a foodie, how could you beat Paris, Rome, and London? I guess what's London known for? It's fish and chips. Um,
Yeah, but London's also known for other nationalities.
this is true.
If you want to go to London, eat somebody else's food and you'll have a wonderful experience.
You're gonna have some
Indian,
amazing,
Chinese, Thai.
yeah, you're gonna have some amazing food on this trip. Not to mention the gelato. I can't even talk about
Well,
Italy
you
without
can't do
mentioning
that. You have
gelato.
to do that 2 or 3 times a day in Rome.
So, those were some fun preparation reminders that you put on here. And we don't have to run through each of those. I think one of the things that we do at Morris Murdock Escorted Tours is every one of our tours will have a either in person or Zoom pre-departure meeting where we take as long as we need to go through the tour particulars with you and prepare you for travel to make sure that when you leave for this trip, you know the exact details you need to be to make it the most successful trip. We're going to go over currency and electronics and what about bathrooms and what about tipping and how do we, use our credit cards and what about our cell phones and all that information. And you get to ask all the questions of you and of your reservation team at Morris Murdock Escorted Tours. So we really feel that that is a key benefit that we offer is making sure that everybody feels fully prepared for their tours.
I
And that's the end.
I think we're there.
Well, I'm going to stop share and just, again, Reid, thank you so much for this fun presentation. It was fun walking through these cities with you. Yes, please put on your beret.
Oh,
Miss Monsieur? I shouldn't have even said, try, how do you say Mr. in French?
you did it perfectly. I do want to say that the size of these groups is smaller than the size that you're used to. And so I believe it's a more intimate experience where you get to not feel like you're in a crowd and feel like you can do the things you want to do, but have the attention you need. And so I hope people will join us.
Oh, thank you so much. And that is a key thing to definitely point out is our group sizes are always, I think on this tour we're typically about 30-ish, give or take a few. Very intimate, makes traveling internationally very comfortable, and especially in your very well traveled, experienced hand and your lovely wife. And it is just, I think on some of the pictures you showed yourself traveling with your granddaughter.
Now, if my
And
wife can't come, I take a grandchild.
there you go. I was going to say, one of the things that we're actually seeing happen a lot on our tours are what they call multi-generational travel, is where grandparents are taking grandchildren for special occasions like graduation, pre-mission, post-mission. Um, it's just those kind of wonderful opportunities. So I thought that was kind of a fun thing to see. So I am going to again say thank you for your wonderful time and presentation. I'm so excited for these tours.
Thank
And invite you, if you have found something exciting or interesting on this tour, please give us a call. Let us answer any questions that you have. We would love for you to either become part of the Morris Murdock Escorted Tours travel family or, join us on another tour. You know exactly what kind of experience you're in for. So thank you again, Reid, for your time, and thank you
thank
for your
you.
time in watching, and happy and safe travels. Thanks so much.
Thank you.